Congressman Jamie Raskin is well known to the people of Maryland's 8th District. They've elected him to Congress 3 times.
But this past February, Congressman Raskin became a national figure as lead House manager in the second impeachment trial of Donald Trump. It
was the test of a lifetime for this constitutional law professor, whose leadership came as he faced the greatest loss of his life, the suicide death of his son, Tommy. Denise Koch spoke with him.
A bright April morning, family friends gathered to share memories of Tommy Bloom Raskin.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tommy Raskin.
25 years old, extremely bright, creative, sensitive, Harvard Law student, and son of Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin.
He was a most remarkable young man who had a perfect soul and a perfect mind, but he was tortured at the end by depression.
The last day of last year, Tommy took his own life.
He was literally too good for a world this broken. And even when I think about December 31st, 2020, as the worst thing that ever happened to our family, I can feel relieved that his pain is gone and that our son was not there 1 week later on January 6th to see the violence and the chaos that was unleashed in the Capitol by fascists and traitors to our country.
Yes, it was just 1 week after Tommy's death that Congressman Raskin and his family were literally caught up in the horror of the Capitol insurrection. And 1 month after that attack in the very same building, Congressman Raskin stood before the Senate and argued the case for the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
Senators, this trial in the final analysis is not about Donald Trump. The country and the world know who Donald Trump is. This trial is about who we are.
Did you go in thinking that you had a chance of actually getting the president impeached?
Well, I did very much so. I believed, and I still believe, that the evidence is so overwhelming and irresistible that there's nothing else they could do.
None of us can escape the demands of history and destiny right now.
The vote, 57 guilty, 43 not guilty. Donald Trump was acquitted.
We convicted him in the court of public opinion. We convicted him in the court of history. 57 to 43 is the most bipartisan majority vote to convict a president in U.S. history.
What history may not record, but anyone who knew will never forget, is that Congressman Raskin took on the role of his political lifetime, all while carrying in his heart the pain of Tommy's loss. I don't know you personally, but you must have an enormous reserve of strength. How did you do that?
Denise, I'm not quite sure if I know the right answer, but I did feel from the very beginning that Tommy was with me. I felt him inside my chest. I felt him in my heart, and I felt that he was giving me strength.
I have lost my son. I have lost something so fundamental, so elemental in my life. I am not sure at times that I even recognize the world.
He was a radiant light in a very broken, hard world, and we're going to miss him so overwhelmingly and so intensely.
Continuing to work through loss, Congressman Raskin has 2 new pieces of legislation aimed at preventing dangerous people from getting a hold of assault-style weapons. And he says while part of him died with Tommy, a more important part of his son will live on.
Denise, you are so right talking about his reserve of strength to go the next day and do his job after losing his son.
I know he was public. I think a lot of people read at the time that his son had taken his own life. But then it got lost in the mix of this enormous news event that he was center stage in. And if you stop to think about it, it was the pinnacle of what he's had to face so far in his profession, at the same time as the greatest personal crisis he's ever faced in his life. And to put those 2 things together, to hold himself together, to be the House manager at a time when the whole nation, parts of the world, were watching everything that he did, it was extraordinary.
He said he felt his son with him all the time, the whole time there. So I guess this is a wake-up call for folks. There is certainly a mental illness problem in this country.
Yeah, and I did ask him about that, and he said yes, his family wanted to be very open about this because they want to destigmatize the kind of depression Tommy had. I mean, I cannot stress enough what an extraordinary young man this was. I watched the whole memorial, which went on for 3 hours. He was a poet. He was a second-year law student. He was brilliant. He was compassionate. He was a loss for the world. And it's no coincidence to me that he took his life December 31st, 2020, after the hard year where so many young people were isolated from their friends and their life just sort of disintegrated. I think he is not alone in the kind of depression he was facing.
Congressman Raskin is now working on a book.
Yeah, he told me I asked him, you know, what's next, the Senate, you know, what kind of other ambitions. He said right now he's just sort of working on the legislation that he's doing in Congress, and he's writing a book about his son and about January 6th and about the impeachment trial, just that chapter of his life. And given all he had to face, that'll be quite a book.
Yes.
Quite a book.
Well, we're certainly looking forward to hearing everything he had to say in your interview with him. Very candid, and I think a lot of things will come to light. For folks who don't know the congressman, I think it's a very enlightening conversation.
Whether you're a Democrat or Republican, as a human being, I think you can absolutely respect what this man had to face and what he overcame and how accomplished he was.
Denise, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, guys.